Hi everyone, Matt here, and today we are going to continue playing PesterQuest. And we are continuing on with Volume 4, the loneliest girl in the world. It's been days, but your stomach still hasn't recovered from Olive Garden. You can't spend forever moping around. There are still friends to make, damn it! Well, just one left in this set. Her name is Jade Harley, and though all three of your new pals consider themselves good friends with her, they know strikingly little about her life. The most you have gleaned is that she lives on a mysterious island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, with a grandfather and some uncommon breed of dog. Their communication with her has been limited to internet messages and packages sent to a P.O. box in some podunk town called Haunt Switch. John said he would message her and see if she could provide an address, but you don't want to wait. Throwing yourself headlong into friendship has always worked for you. So you close your eyes, think islandly thoughts, and hope it works. But something strange happens as you channel your powers. Large bark echoes somewhere in the distance, and nuclear green energy sparks in the air around you. You catch a split-second glimpse of a massive green sun, and then you hit the ground on your hands and knees. The whole event can't have taken more than a second or two. Well, you blink and focus your vision. You are inside a room, and the floor is smooth and white, and disrupting the monotony in front of you are a set of similar white paws attached to a lusus. You mean an animal. You slowly stagger up and look him over. He is a very large and fluffy dog. His snout held up high, a long green tongue hangs from his open mouth as he pants lightly, and the air around him crackles with electricity, making the fur on his back stand on end. Something about him feels so familiar to you. Familiar twice over. His fuzzy and regal form reminds you of a warmth you once knew, but those neon sparks fill your stomach with dread. At the very least, he seems friendly. He leans in and drags his rough tongue along your cheek, leaving it tingling. His tail wags swiftly back and forth, and he keeps nosing at you. He seems fascinated. Aww. Beck! Down, boy! It is this friendly demeanor of his that leaves you shocked when he moves aside, and you find yourself staring down the barrel of a rifle. It is held aloft by a bespectacled young lady in a sensible skirt who really has no business pointing such a big fucking gun at you. Okay, please don't panic and don't make any sudden moves. I've never shot a living being before, and it would make me very, very sad if I had to start now. Oh, okay, so this is happening now. Is this Jade? She doesn't sound like Jade, based on what John showed you. She looks more like a Gigi. Anyway, maybe Lynn? Right, the gun, don't get sidetracked. Slowly raise your hands in surrender, and try to put on your most inoffensive expression. You tell her that if she started shooting living things, you would be pretty sad too. So why doesn't she put down the gun and... No way! I don't want to shoot you, but you are clearly a dangerous and unpredictable being, and I need to make sure I stay safe. My grandpa taught me a lot about gun safety and trigger discipline in case anything bad ever happened to me. So I know that good trigger discipline means keeping your finger on the trigger at all times in case you need to blow something to bits. Oh, fuck. Now, let me make things clear to you. I am a very clever girl, and you won't be able to fool me as easily as you fooled the others. It's very obvious to me what you've been doing, and I knew you would eventually show up if I waited long enough. Sure, John messaged me not too long ago to let me know you wanted to that you wanted to visit, and so I prepared myself for your arrival. You've come to interfere with our lives, and now I want to know why. So you had better start talking, okay? Okay, you say. What does she want to talk about? You're well versed on a variety of eclectic subjects, and so you can go on about basically anything. Wrestling, postmodern art, controversial opinions on traditional jurisprudence. But you get the feeling that this is an interrogation, and you really have no idea what she's interrogating you over. That's a very likely story. I can put two and two together pretty easily, you know. You've never shown up in any of my dreams before, and now none of those dreams are coming to pass. Not to mention that I don't even see prospect when I go to sleep anymore. That can only mean that you have derailed the forces of fate. You destroyed John's copies of Slumber, and somehow that changed everything. Not only could John not begin the game, none of us could. And now the meteors hit like they were supposed to. And it was like the universe changed its very fabric to bend to your evil whims. Whoa, evil? That's a little harsh. You know, cop to stupid, but evil is way too much. Don't play dumb with me. What else could motivate you to stop us from fulfilling our destiny as heroes? Heroes? John and friends are very nice, but they don't exactly strike you as heroes. That's because you don't know them like I know them. You haven't seen the shrines or prospect or heard stories from the queen or seen them in the clouds growing into brave and wonderful people. And now I'm beginning to suspect that those things will never come to pass. John's birthday came and passed without any fanfare, except for him supposedly befriending a strange mailman. And that day, the internet was full of people complaining that their beta copies of Suburb weren't working. And there was a huge scandal with the company a little while later. I found out that this mailman was talking with Rose and had magical powers. I know a thing or two about magical powers, or at least powers which seem to be magical to those who haven't studied their logical sources. But yours are totally... voice change. Yours are totally different from anything I've ever seen. At first, I thought you must be an advanced Durside agent to come and sabotage us, but you definitely aren't from Durs. Maybe a Prospitan double agent? I also consider the weird trolls who keep pestering me. They've been weirdly quiet lately, and you don't really give me that vibe. And obviously, you are not a human. Well, hang on, you are a human, right? She tilts her head and gives you a low, really? Kind of look, and your stomach twists into knots. The more I look at you, the more I start to think you're like... how do I explain this? You know what furry is? Well, okay, that question is more loaded than her gun, yes? Alright, so a lot of artists I follow do commissions, and you remind me of one of those. Does that make sense? You have no idea what or YCH is. You cautiously ask her. It stands for your character here. Basically, an artist will draw a pose or scenario, but instead of putting an actual character, they will leave a blank outline, like a mannequin. You pay them to put your own character there. When I look at you, I feel like I'm looking at one of those blank spaces. My intuition doesn't tell me anything about you, and you've never shown up in my dreams. You're like my best friend Beck over here. A complete wild card. Something I can't figure out. Which brings me back to my point. She had almost let her gun drop, but you had almost forgotten she was holding it. But she hefts it back up and to point at you and seals her gaze. You are going to tell me why you came here and did what you did. And then you're going to help fix it. That rifle is really starting to bother you. Get that gun away from her. You can't let a good opportunity slip between your fingers again. You need to disarm her before she accidentally blows you smithereens. There must be something else that will get her guard down. You ask her about her grandfather, the one who taught her about guns. He must surely be a reasonable and mature man. Perhaps it might be best to bring him into the discussion. You could sit down, have tea, drop the gun. I don't know. Grandpa does love his tea time with guests, but usually conversations with him are really one-sided. Oh, is he that stubborn? Well, yes, he's a pretty obstinate man and a total blowhard. But as well, you may find him difficult to talk to on account of the fact that he is also a stuffed corpse. Oh, yeah, cool, yeah, that checks out. This is fine, everything's fine. You love guest starring in a goddamn Hitchcock movie. This girl is clearly too unstable to be reasoned with. You need to disarm her, and pronto. You steer the topic away from her grandfather she surely murdered and wait for another lull in the conversation. When her eyes start to wander and her grip slackens, you spring forward and reach for the rifle. She shrieks and goes for a trigger, but before she can fire, an ear-splitting bark rings in your ears and the world explodes into neon green. Feel weightless and empty, cocooned in bitter cold. For half a second, you'd think you just got Kedavra. That words. But then you glance around and see the stars. An iridescent light show twinkling all around you, painting the vast expanse with beaded glimmers. It is transcendent. It is beautiful. You are at peace. Or maybe that's just the asphyxiation talking. Space junked. Stay calm and explain yourself. Alright, pretty much everyone except for John has called you on your bullshit thus far. You may as well give her the full confession. You absolutely did change the course of reality, but it was the result of a genuine fuck-up, not ill intent. Kind of a long story, but you can relate it as best as you can. Your strange lack of memory and encounter with a bizarre and magical artifact, the way you blundered into John's life and destroyed his mail as a result of your highly relatable social anxiety. The girl listens intently as you explain what brought you here, and then you offer an apology. You think you have irreversibly altered the very fabric that threads her cosmos together. There's probably no way of putting things back like they were and letting this lady go on her golden dream quest or whatever she was blathering about while you were distracted by her very deadly gun. Okay, you sound very sincere and I'd like to believe you. So I'll take you at your word for now. Whatever shenanigans you involved yourself in, I trust that you did not intend to cause any problems. Let's put all this ugly business behind us. The girl holsters her rifle and you breathe a long sigh of relief. Sorry about all that. I promise I only had the best intentions. It's cool, you tell her. You get the distinct feeling you've dealt with much worse. Yeah, I'd imagine a space hopper like you has been to all sorts of cool and dangerous places. Kind of jealous, really. But anyway, we've never properly introduced ourselves. My name is Jade, and my dog's name is Becqueel. What's yours? Huh, you think that this is the first time you have ever been asked for your name. Ever? You almost forgot you had one. You tell Jade your name. Huh. It's a very unique sounding name, I like it. You tell Jade that you like her name too, and she beams at you. Thank you. I'm so glad my grandpa gave me this name. It's so pretty and fairly unique, and just very likable. Hee hee hee. Anyway, why don't I show you around? I can give you a tour of the house, and we can get to know each other a little better. Oh, that sounds great. You're an expert on taking tours of other people's houses, which makes sense, since you don't exactly have your own house. Jade stares sourly at you. I'm very sorry to hear that. No, it's cool. You have magic now, so the trade-off is probably pretty fair. Right, well, this is, of course, my room. As you can see, I have a ton of pretty posters. This is my favorite. It was a gift from Dave, and I love it to pieces, even though it's honestly pretty dumb looking, but that's the point. Hee. She gestures to a poster of Dave's webcomic guys with animal attributes scribbled onto them. This one next to the squid posters, probably. Most of the other posters also feature anthropomorphic fauna, drawn with significantly more finesse. It all gives you a very furry vibe. But not in a bad way, you clarify. Her lips twitch in irritation, and it occurs to you that people are probably constantly either clowning on her for liking furry stuff or reassuring her that they aren't about to clown on her for liking furry stuff. Well, I don't actually dress up in suits or any of that nonsense, but I really love animals, and I think it is fun to imagine what it would be like to be one. Which is why I own so many animal toys, like the Manthro cherubs, who are very silly but dignified fellows, who are part animal and part Victorian era gentle-sir. Jay gestures to a pile in the corner, heaped high with plushies and dolls of all sorts. Many of them look like man/animal abominations with curly mustaches, and others feature bright and puffy squid-like creatures. Oh, and these are my squirrels. They are based off a cartoon show. Rose says it's a bad show, but I don't believe her. Jade fishes through the toy pile and retrieves a dark, bluish-black toy. This one is Inkabelle. She's my favorite. Oh, Inkabella. In one episode, she gets lost in the murky brine swallows and spends years completely alone, lost without any of her friends. But in the end, her friend Podlight tracks her down and saves her. It seemed so bleak the first time I watched it that I literally cried, but I realized in the end that it was a very poignant tale. Jade smiles wistfully down at the plushie in her hand. She glances from it to another one of the squirrel dolls, and her expression tightens. She squeezes the doll a little too hard, causing a horrendous pitchy squeak. I guess in retrospect, that was pretty silly, though. I mean, it was just a kid's show. Of course, there was always going to be a happy ending. That's how those always work, right? Jade's still smiling as she tosses the doll onto her bed, but she puts so much force into the throw that it goes careening off the edge with a wheeze. You hear it plop onto the floor and magnetize itself to another squirrel. Its voice box lets out a weak little "yay." Jade stands up and brushes off her skirt. Her eyes fall to her bedspread, which features a striking cloud design. She sighs slowly and then assumes a bright smile once more. Anyway, let's go explore the rest of the house, shall we? I've got so much to show you. Jade hikes up her skirt and scurries down the spiral staircase 2 steps at a time. You're a little interested in the high-tech devices laying on the workbench near her bed, and a glowing green crystal that you think is literally uranium, but Jade's already gone, so you tear your eyes away and follow. The landing below her room is small and cylindrical, and features only a gray closet-looking device and a platform on the floor. My room is at the top, above a tower, but this transportalizer will take us to the garden quick and easy. She hops on and disappears in a flash of green light. You are nonplussed. You're a little nonplussed, but you've seen weirder. You step onto the platform, hear a light click beneath your feet, and in an instant you're standing in a lush green atrium. There are exotic plants as far as the eye can see, ranging from psychedelical floral arrangements to tropical fronds to fruits and vegetables. Tall windows blanket the walls and allow sunlight to stream in, and said windows are coated in a steamy mist. You feel like you just got clotheslined by a rainforest. It's beautiful, right? Jade opens her arms and spins around, gesturing to her various gardening stations. You nod. It really is. Gardening is another one of my favorite hobbies. It's a great way to get your hands dirty and do some real work. And the end result is really vibrant and beautiful. Jade waves her rough and calloused hands at you, and then strokes her fingers along the pinkish petal of an anemone. Something. Anemone. I don't know why I fucked up the wording on that. Anemone. And hums a little tune toward it. One of its leaves seems to curl toward her touch. When Jade pulls away, she skips toward one of the windows and motions for you to follow her. It's a beautiful island vista that awaits your gaze. To your left is a towering mountain that might just be a volcano. And ahead of you is a small bay filled with giant lily pads of an old mossy temple. Beyond the island, a sea stretches out to a shimmering horizon. Past that boundary line, an entire world awaits, ever out of reach. This is my home. This entire island belongs to just me, Beck, and my grandpa. It's a very peaceful place. The greenery is so lovely and the bay is very fun to take a dip in. There's some mysterious ruins down there too. I've always been very curious about them, but Beck won't let me visit them. I guess he thinks they're too dangerous. Grandpa's been in there plenty of times before, though. Could your grandfather give her a supervised tour? Oh, Grandpa doesn't really move much anymore. He spends all of his time having tea parties in the foyer. Well, he's quite old then. You could say that. Jade wanders away from the window and toward another one, whose view is exclusively centered on the rolling blue. She presses her hand against the misty pane and sighs. You know, Dave talks a lot about coming to visit me here. I mean, all my friends do, but Dave especially. In his usual Davey way, of course, which means making lots of jokes and not sounding very serious about it. Yeah, I'm itching to put on my safari hat and come traipsing down to Dune Death Archipelago to get my ass murdered by infant dog, the Eldritch Retriever, stuff like that. I know he really means it, though. He wants to see me, just like I want to see him. But it's just wishful thinking. He doesn't know where this island is. Even I don't know where it is. All deliveries here go through some company P.O. box my grandpa set up before he died. It's not marked on any maps. Because this is a special island with all kinds of important secrets on it, I guess? Or, it was special. I was special. But not anymore. I'm just a regular girl stuck alone on this dumb island for the rest of my stupid life. Whoa, you asked Jade if she's feeling alright. Yes, I'm totally fine. Just peachy. Thanks for asking. Come on, let's keep up with the tour. There's no time for dilly-dallying. My grandpa's collection rooms are up next. The first one is full of his big game hunting trophies. I'd never shoot an innocent animal, and I think the trophies are pretty hideous. But I do have to admire his great work stuffing them, I guess. It is really hard to properly stuff and mount something, trust me. And he has some cooler stuff on the lower floors, like all these badass knight statues. Or these, faded blue portraits of pretty ladies. Okay, I'm going to be honest, most of my grandpa's collection stinks. But I think what is important is that it all represents to him. He's been on all sorts of incredible, amazing adventures, and he has this huge array of interesting things to show for it. Tell Jade that her grandfather sounds like a hell of a guy. He sure is. Back when I was little, he used to go on trips all over the world and come back with so many interesting stories and new souvenirs. I was so awed, and I guess a little jealous too. Sometimes he would be gone for days or even weeks at a time, and it would just be me and Beck holding down the fort. I was always so happy when he came back, and I listened to his tales without making a single peep. But he never asked me if I wanted to come along for an adventure, no matter how obvious it was that I did. I guess that's just the way of life for adventuring folk. There's no time to be tied down, even by the people you love. They can stay at home and wait for you to come back. That's how it was for my grandpa, at least. What about you? You're an adventurer too. You've visited all my friends, and you've surely been to other awesome spots around the globe. So I bet you've left someone waiting for you too, haven't you? Frost floods your veins and nestles into your heart with a burning chill. For reasons that you don't quite understand, Jane tilts your head and bores into you with wide, curious eyes. One of her hands is balled up into a fist, and both of them are trembling as she watches you. Geez, you're gonna have to coach another kid through parental issues, aren't you? You swallow down your son's anxiety, force a smile, and remind Jane that you are suffering amnesia. Ah, right. Well, it's just this feeling that I get, you know? I have great intuition. And she smiles, the corner of her mouth twitches. It's now or never. Would you like to talk? I said I'm fine. There's nothing to talk about. Unless you want to talk about, some of these flowers. Isn't this one such a lovely yellow? Surely there's nothing wrong with some good old feelings jam, right? Jade's an expressive, empathetic girl. Feelings jams should be her thing. You think about that, but she's still steadfastly ignoring you. Hey, how about this orange with a goofy face on it? Why don't we balk at it for a while? Jade, something's wrong. You need to talk this out. That's what you do. You're a talker. So why don't you two... Oh my god, just shut up. Please just shut your stupid fucking mouth. Of course something is wrong. Yeah, that something is you. There's a long pause. Jade stands there, her eyes wide, shocked at her own outburst, and wipes a tear from her cheek. Takes a shaky gulp and then sprints back up the stairs. Ooh, that didn't work. You stand there for a while feeling like a tender AAA grade jackass steak with baked douchebag potatoes on the side. Then you sigh and steel yourself and make the trek back up to her room. Jade is nowhere to be seen, and back is pawing clumsily at a large, suspiciously jade-shaped lump underneath the covers of her bed. You clear your throat to ask her, softly, if she wants to talk. It's cool, you say. You listen to teen drama all the time. This is some particularly choice drama. Not that you like the drama, you clarify. You just kind of exist in the periphery of it constantly. You are a drama magnet. There's a long pause and you're about to turn and leave when she pulls the covers off and turns to you. Her eyes are all puffy and red. Hey. I'm sorry I yelled at you. It's not really your fault. I mean, it kind of is, but you didn't know you were messing anything up. It's not fair for me to be pissed at you. It's just, none of this is fair at all. Yeah, that sounds like life, alright. You sit down on the bed and tell her to vent about it. That's okay, you can take it. Okay. Have you ever spent your whole life waiting for something to happen and then it didn't? Well, your memory is pretty fuzzy right now, so you can't say you have, but you think you understand a similar sense of yearning. Good God, have you yearned? Yearning is a good word for it, yeah. Let me try to explain. When I went to sleep, I would see this beautiful golden kingdom called Prospect, and hang out with the people there. I'd wake up with these fuzzy, half-remembered feelings of happiness and visions of the future swirling around in my head. It was nice. It was a good life. But there was this very lonely feeling that I couldn't make go away no matter what I did. I would always tell myself, soon, Jade, soon it'll all change. You will get to travel to Prospect in your waking hours, and you'll meet your friends in person. You'll finally begin to live, like really live. I waited days, months, years for the day to finally arrive, and then it never came. I was so sure that I would come on John's birthday. All my dreams told me so. All of the signs were there, but it just didn't happen. And now I don't know what to do with myself. I was able to ignore the lonely feeling because I knew that I would disappear one day, but now that day has slipped me by, and it's like all those years are catching up and crashing down on me at once, and I feel so small and helpless and sad, like the loneliest girl in the world. I don't want to put this all on you, but when that wouldn't be very nice, but it's not fair. Jade vaults from the bed and stamps her foot on the ground hard. Her face is flushed with streaks with tears and snot. She looks awful, frankly, like someone who's been holding it in for far too long. Beck gets up and starts licking at her cheeks, and she holds him off until she can wipe her face on her sleeve. Thanks, Beck. At least I've got you for a best friend, right? Jade settles back onto the bed, stroking Beck's fur softly. I have a lot of complicating feelings about all this, I guess. So complicated and painful that I'd rather just pretend everything is okay. But now I can't pretend anymore, and these feelings are all that's left. And I hate feeling so glum. I hate sitting around being all sad and useless. It's stupid and pointless and a waste of my fucking energy, and it's not who I am, and I'm just dumping it all onto you. And I'm sorry, I really am. Man, you just completely fucked up this girl's life. She's apologizing to you? Now you feel like the delicious 3-layered shithead tiramisu served after the nice meal of steak and potatoes you had earlier. You really want to help Jade. And while you still don't quite get all of this magical moon stuff she's been talking about, you get how it feels to be lonely. That's something you can help with. You offer her your hand. Want to go see the world? She sniffles and lightly shakes her head. It's not going to work. Well, there's no way to know unless you give it a try, right? She nods, stands up, and takes your hand. You focus on a similar destination, John's house, but as you begin to dematerialize, Beck turns to stare at you, and you hear that familiar barking sound in your ears. And when the flash of light subsides, you're staring here in Jade's room, only a few feet from where you started. What? See? I told you it wouldn't work. Come on, let me show you something. Jade hops up and shuffles down the staircase. When you follow, she takes you to the teleportation pad on the atrium. These transportalizers are all powered by thermal energy and use each other as beacons for the sake of easy short-range teleportation. But if you hook one of them up to a uranium converter and modify the coordinates specified on the logic board, you can theoretically go anywhere in the world. Which I tried, see? She twists the top of the pad with her fingertips and pulls it off. Shows you the wiring underneath. It looks messy, like someone has made multiple attempts to rewire the circuits. When I used it, it only led to the exact same thing that happened just now. Beck used his powers to prevent me from leaving the island. Maybe I got the coordinates wrong and I would have ended up stuck underground or something, but I checked and double-checked my measurements. I think Beck just doesn't want me to leave the island. He wants me to stay here somewhere. He wants me to stay somewhere he can keep me safe at all times. Perhaps he heard his name from above, or perhaps he just has a sixth sense about it, because Beck wanders down the staircase and over to Jade. She gives him a soft stroke behind the ear. Love him very much, but as long as he's around, I'm stuck here. And because of the changes you made, that is how it will always be. I'm just going to have to get used to it, I guess. Jade deflates against one of her gardening tables and offers you a wan smile. For a split second, you could swear you see droopy doggy ears and a tail tucked between her legs. Depression to this degree simply is not conducive to friendship. And even if it was, you would still feel pretty shitty about it. You should do something to cheer up. Let's challenge Beck for superiority. Seems to you that the cause of Jade's problems, even though he's probably not hurting her on purpose, is Becquerel. He's a good dog and he wants to protect her. But the time for that has passed. Jade has a new omnipotent friend in her life, and she's got places to be besides this island. There is only one thing for you to do. You need to establish yourself as the new alpha of the pack. You must win the right to escort Jade to visit her friends. This is how dogs work, right? Yeah, it is. It definitely is. You think. Square, bend your knees, and tense your palms. What are you doing? Don't worry about it, you tell Jade. You're practically an expert in Busas wrangling techniques by now. In what technique she shouts behind you, but you're already charging. Beck doesn't see it coming at all, perhaps because it's such a spectacularly stupid thing to do. You go tumble him to the ground and manage to pin him. You know exactly what to do now. There is only one possible course of action, and it has been inculcated with such memtic gravity that you are entirely certain it will work as intended. Punch Beck in the snout to establish superiority. Punch Beck in the snout and establish superiority, and immediately realize it's not as intended. He snarls and flares up a neon green energy crackling around his body. You wince as heat washes over you as if you just opened an oven door, and your arm hairs stand stiff in electric terror. What were you thinking? This is a fight you can't win. Benj lunges at you and sinks his fangs into you. You yelp, pain splitting your sight, radioactive fire roaring up in your arm. You yank yourself away, but instinctively try to teleport. But as you disappear, Beck's teeth catch your shoulder and hold on tight. The two of you go hurling through the nothingness, and you're pretty sure you've left blood splatters on meta-narrative construct, like a website scroll bar, the Ren P bug screen or some shit. Eventually, you come exploring back into Cannon and bounce off Purple Spire with an ungainingly smack, dislodging Beck in the process. You tumble onto a bridge and scatter some dudes in goofy jester outfits, and Beck lands in front of you. Good boy? Can we call it even here? He snarls and cream flames crack the stone beneath his feet. So much for that. Throw up your arms in front of your face and squeeze your eyes shut as Beck clenches again, but you don't feel the sting of his fangs against your flesh. Instead, you feel the singularly odd sensation of your body passing right through Beck's, as though you had just had a window thrown at you, like a reverse defenestration. Refenestration? Unfenestration? The world beyond your eyelids strobes green, and when you open your eyes, you find yourself staring into a massive, verdant sun. You think that when Beck went in for the kill, you must have phased through him as his power surged. It was pure dumb luck. You can't imagine what kind of precise timing it would take to pull that off on purpose. Good news is that you're alive, but the blood loss is really doing a number on you, and you can't focus on your powers. Your vision flickers at the edges, and there's a ringing in your ears louder than the flickering flames of the sun. You only just barely hear a voice from behind you as your eyes glaze over. Who's this douchebag? Zulux, be nice. This douchebag looks very injured. I think they're going to have to restart and try again. Better luck next time. Game over. Alrighty, do not Jade challenged Beck. Let's explore. You present your most finely honed smile of confidence and urge Jade to stand. This is no time to mope around. There is plenty of fun to be found without leaving this island. You suggest that perhaps with your help, you can give her the opportunity to explore that temple she's always been curious about. Really? That would be super fun. But what about Beck? Oh, there's nothing to worry about there. You have a genius plan, you tell her. You tell her to just head on over to the temple and you'll take care of the rest. Okay, if you say so. But please don't do anything to hurt Beck, okay? I love him to bits. You wouldn't dream of it. Not on this route, at least. Jade transportalizes downward, and you turn your attention to Beck, who is idly sniffing one of Jade's plants. You advance on him slowly, with intent. You know what must be done. Pet the dog. You just get right in there. You pet the hell out of this dog. You employ all your strongest pamper techs, like the quick scritch up, the main massage, and the rare Coddle Brand EX dog smite. Somewhere in the distance, a blue bird observes your masterful display and chirps happily. But suddenly, Beck's head snaps up and he points his snout in the direction of the temple. Whoa there, buddy. Now's not a time to be thinking about Jade. Now is Belly Scritch's time. Started rubbing Beck's stomach, and he flops onto his back and wagging, with his tail wagging and his feet curl up. Who's a good boy? Beck looks at you, and you see the cosmos reflected in his deep, piercing eyes. And you understand. He's a good boy, and he knows it. After a while longer spent threading your fingers through his silky fur, Beck curls up beside you and yawns, starting to nod off. You kiss him on the forehead and then take the opportunity to slowly stand up and exit the room, letting the sleeping dog lie. You're a little worried about alerting Beck by using your powers. He seems to be pretty keyed into that kind of space-time manipulation, so you just take the long route to the temple. Shays Island is a very beautiful place, with rolling hills and lush sun-bathed plains, and it looks like an excellent vacation destination. But it's also so bare. There's nothing and nobody around except for the hollow whispers of the wind. You can see how this place would feel much less like paradise after a few years spent stranded here. When you reach the lake surrounding the temple, you see that the giant lily pads outside have arranged themselves into a walkway that you can use it to reach it. How strange and convenient. You channel your inner frog and hop across. Hey! Up here! Jade calls down to below. Words. Jade calls down to you. She's at the temple entrance, far above your head, waving down at you. Grooves carved into the walls form a ladder that you can use to climb up. Soon you are standing beside her at the entrance to the temple. A huge imposing archway marks the ingress between this sunny island and the dark interior of the ruin. From within, you can see a faint yellow-green glow that seems to come from runes carved into the walls. Spooky. As you proceed through the entryway, Jade runs a hand along the glowing wall, her face bathed in sickly green. At the end of the hallway is a large round platform decorated with cloudy designs and a glowing orb at the center. It doesn't pique your interior decorator, but Jade seems quite awed by the sight. This is Skya. I knew this temple had to be connected to that world in some way. Jade rushes onto the platform and it begins to descend. You quickly follow her before you're left behind, as the elevator takes you down to an expansive and dark room below. Much like the rest of the temple, the space seems very sparse and is illuminated by the faint glow of the runes on the walls. A large purple lotus flower rests atop a pedestal in front of the elevator. Petals wilted. There is an electronic display built into the pedestal with a timer that could feasibly count down for millions of years, but it seems to be glitched. Stuck a few hours away from 0 with the second digit constantly ratcheting back and forth between two numbers. Jade places a hand on the pedestal and sighs. That's exactly what we saw in the basement or whatever of Rose's house. On the giant computer with the 4 screens. 4/13. April 13th. John's birthday. I think. The numbers suck. I think this is a time capsule, but it's malfunctioning for some reason. Was I supposed to open it when the time was right? No, I'll never know. What else could this place be hiding from me? As if on cue, the elevator platform shudders and begins to rise behind you. As the platform ascends, it becomes clear that there is a piece beneath it, which is basically video game logic 101. Jade looks down into it, and you follow suit and see transportalizers? There's 2 of them, one a deep purple and the other a brilliant gold. Jade leaps into the pit, which is a pretty brave maneuver because it's deep as hell and real life still has fall damage. She grunts and sinks to her knees from the impact, but quickly recovers and rushes over to the golden transportalizer. She examines it for a moment and then clambers on with a soft click. The pressure plate is depressed, and the device surges to life. She disappears in a bright flash of light. Well, shit, you'd better follow her. You hop down and step onto the transportalizer, and the same flash of light consumes your body. You feel something like wind whipping around you as your molecules are dematerialized and then reassembled in a new locale, a glimmering golden palace. Wow, this place is way too fucking bright. Someone needs to crank the saturation down pronto. I don't believe it. Jade is looking around with wide eyes that reflect your golden surroundings. This is it. This is Prospit, the planet I visit in my dreams. I didn't think it was possible to get here like this. What does it mean? Why am I allowed to be here right now? I should go talk to the queen. And with that, she's off, sprinting down the halls with a renewed sense of vigor. Whoa. Scramble to keep up with her, threading your way through crowds of confused, white-shelled folks in fancy outfits. They remind you of yourself, but with shittiness. Hang on. Shittiness. I'm saying that wrong, most definitely. Kittiness. They kind of remind you of yourself, but with kittiness bodies. You sidestep a lady carrying a paint can and shuffle down a lengthy golden staircase adorned with regal golden spikes, and you can only barely keep your eyes on Jade's long black hair as it swishes behind her. When you finally catch up, she's in the middle of an argument with 2 burly fellows in white suits. She stamps her foot at them, but they are undeterred, blocking her passage further. Eventually, Jade wheels around to look at you. She tries to soften her expression for your sake, but her face is still sour. The guards won't let me see the queen. Apparently, she's really busy with something. They told me I'm not supposed to be here and that I have to leave right away. This is total bull. I'm a princess. I swear some of these idiots can't even recognize me without the pretty golden dress. Well, I guess I'm not getting any answers here either. Let's just get out of here. And she's off again. This time striding forward with her fists curled and her jaw set. You glance back at the guards whose furrowed brows strike you more as worry than ire, and you follow Jade back. You're almost to the exit when you see it. A dark figure silhouetted against Skaya's brilliant blue. They are humanoid in shape with two leathery wings outstretched and inky black tendrils trailing behind. Crimson force crackles in their wake, and they swoop over the city like a bird of prey. Something about them gives you a major case of the heebie-jeebies. You do a nervous little half-jog back to the transportalizer and get the hell out of Dodge. Dodge. The temple feels oppressively dark compared to the blinding bright of Prospect. You spend a while blinking as your eyes readjust. The transportalizer you just used flares up red and then cracks. That's probably not a good sign, is it? You do what you do best. Ignore it and climb out of the pit. Jade is standing there beside the lotus contraption, running her hand along one of the pedals with her face set. What does all of it mean? Was this here all along? Has my grandpa been to Prospect before? If I can go there, then it must still exist. The game must still exist, but how? None of it makes any sense. I need to think about this. You follow Jade slowly back to her house as she mumbles to herself, brows furrowed. You can barely catch up what she's saying, but she's clearly thinking hard. The clouds have never been wrong before. Is it too early? Was this meant to happen? Once you reach the atrium, Jade lets out a sharp breath and nods her head. Resolute. She turns to you. Alright, I think I understand. I know what's going on now. Great, you offer her your most winning smile. What's the stitch? Well, the truth is, I was always being very immature about the idea of being a hero and having a destiny. Life isn't like in kids' cartoons, after all. Heroism isn't all rainbows and sunshine, and it's childish to think that everyone gets a happy ending. That kind of storybook stuff doesn't really exist. To be a real hero, you have to be prepared to suffer horribly. It makes sense when you think about it. If everything came easy, there wouldn't actually be anything heroic about it. Why else would my grandpa have put me on this island? Why else would Beck want to keep me safe here? Even now that everything's changed. It's because it's my destiny. I have to prove that I'm willing to suffer and willing to sacrifice. That has to be it. This can't all have been for nothing, right? That's not the way the world works, and everything has a purpose even if it's not clear at first. Seeing Prospect in the flesh reminded me of that. My purpose is to do what I've always done. What my grandpa and Beck have helped prepare me for. I know I'll be ready. I'll be really lonely. But in the end, it means that everything will continue to play out the way it is meant to. It's a very noble job, and I've got to be the one to do it. You're at a loss for words. This really doesn't feel like the right takeaway from all this. But you don't know jack about suburb, or destiny, or any of that nonsense. So who are you to say otherwise? So thank you for helping me visit Prospect. I wouldn't have figured this all out if not for you, and I'm sure that meeting me is one step along the way towards your mysterious fate as well. I'll be rooting for you. Jade erupts into a broad, beaming smile. It might be the first completely genuine smile you've seen from her this entire time, but that doesn't make you feel any better about it. In fact, it's more of a knife twisting in your gut when she throws her arms around you and hugs you. Hugs you tight. The knife pushes deeper to the bone. Well, you probably have more important stuff to do than keep hanging out with me. I'll let you get back to it. Jade turns around and heads for the staircase, leaving you to stare at her retreating form. Is this it? Will you accept the new destiny you've written for Jade and allow her to stay trapped here on this island? A third choice. Finally. Let's not accept. Some people might take this as a lesson in the responsible use of reality-altering powers. Some people might swear off manipulating canon entirely, but not you. What's the point of having sick-ass powers at all if you're never going to use them? If you never use them. Maybe some god is going to punish you for the way you've been fucking with the universe, but right now you don't care. This girl would burn herself to ashes to keep her friends warm. And the least you can do is risk the flame for her sake. You quickly sprint up the stairs. Oh, you're not leaving. Don't you have places to be? I'll be fine here alone, I promise. It's my duty. I'll get used to it eventually. Can't imagine she is okay with that, no matter what she says. Does she really want to stay alone for the rest of her life? Well, of course not. What I want to do is explore the world and hang out with all my pals. But it's not about what I want. It's about it's about doing what has to be done. That's what it has always been doing for me. That's what it has always been about for me. Well, that's bullshit. Huh? Maybe Jade's fate dictates she never played the game she wanted to play, but heroes don't get a happy ending. Maybe heroes don't get a happy ending, but that doesn't mean heroes can't be happy. There comes a time in every young woman's life, you tell Jade, where she can't leave home because her pet is an overprotective god. Huh? Okay, obviously that's not true, but there comes a time in many young women's lives where circumstances beyond their control leave them without an escape. Perhaps it's easier to believe that the escape will never come, but you can't let Jade do that. And life has you stuck at home perhaps. I'm stuck. You can still hold on to hope. You can fight, no matter how long you have to wait. You can keep the world looking for another chance to see the world. You can keep looking for another chance to see the world. And if the universe tells you to sit, stay, and roll over, you look the universe dead in the eyes and ask, who do you think is the master around here? And then you tell it to motherfucking heal. Yeah, you're right. Even now I was being childish. It was easier to tell myself to be miserable for a noble cause instead of holding on to hope and maybe getting hurt again. But I have to hope. That's who I am. I'm a hoper, not a moper. Hehe. I will keep trying to convince Beck that it will be safe for me to leave the island. Things have changed and maybe he doesn't realize it yet. He's kind of a silly dumb dog at times. But he loves me and I love him. And we can work it out. Maybe it'll take a while, but I'll definitely figure things out. While I wait, you'll come visit me sometimes, won't you? Of course you will. You are not in the habit of abandoning your friends. The idea is unthinkable. You promised Jade you will come to visit her. Come visit. Come visit. Light bulb goes off in your head. One of those cool LED bulbs. The kind that syncs up to your phone and changes colors and spies on you for the government. Party time. You ask Jade if she's ever had a slumber party. A slumber party? No, I've never had one. It sounds exciting, but I'm Is it really a party if there's just 2 people and a dog? Sounds more like a mild slumber hangout. Don't worry about it, you tell her. Just start getting the place ready for a bash, pull out the sleeping bags, conjure up some lightly irradiated snacks, pop up the fresh jams, etc., etc. I don't know if we even have sleeping bags, but okay, I'll see what I can do. Maybe there's something useful in my grandpa's old supplies. You shoot her a confident salute, and then dissolve into the ether of cannon. Alright, Edbert, up and at him, it's party time. John yelps and tumbles out of his chair, crashing to the ground with an undignified heap. It looks like he was in the middle of debugging some code on his computer when you interrupted him. He disentangles his limbs and stands up with a groan. Okay, Magic Mailman, we need to get some things straight. Your powers are extremely cool, but using them like this is kind of lame. Jump scares rank very low on the prank scale. They don't take any effort. They are just so mean and annoying. You apologize for scaring John. You're just in a very excited mood right now because it's time for motherfucking slumber party. Time for a motherfucking slumber party. Oh, cool. I've never been to a slumber party before. Who's it with? You grin. Don't you already know who with, John? The American Association of Mailmen? You gave him a blank stare. Oh, right, probably my other friends. That one should have been obvious. There you go, John. You tell him to pack whatever supplies he thinks he should bring, and then get ready for another whirlwind ride through space-time. I don't know, I should probably do the responsible thing and let my dad know I'm going on a trip even if I will be back soon. Okay, that's fine, you tell him, but don't take too much time. This route's already pretty long. Cool, okay, what should I bring? Oh, I need to grab some movies, definitely. Dave will be there, right? I should bring some McConaughey movies. So he realizes I was right all along about Matthew's stellar acting. Oh, and of course some snacks. This is a great time for me to unload all the excess birthday cakes my dad made me. Seriously, there are hundreds of them in the fridge. It is highly ridiculous. Wait patiently in John's room as he goes downstairs to fetch his bounty of cakes, talk to his dad, and do all of his other preparation. Takes forever. You're not really sure what he's doing down there. You think he might be walking around examining all of the objects in his home in great detail and solving a bunch of puzzles. Come on, John. That's not the right genre of game. Get your shit together. Okay, ready. Alright. Step 2 is to get Rose. You take John's hand and zap the 2 of you into Rose's mansion. John spends a while goggling at the giant statue of Zazapan the Learned. Then you ascend the staircase towards Rose's room and knock on the door. Her voice comes from within, slightly muffled. You're home early. I've been hearing strange noises from the neighboring lab of late, have you? Rose opens the door and freezes. John? Her eyes widen and she slowly steps backwards, which John takes as an invitation to stride into her room. Cheeks darken as she scans the rooms, eyes flickering from mess to mess. Surprise, Rose! We are here to seal you away like the owl who kidnaps Harry Potter. That's not... She sighs and turns to you. Care to explain the sudden intrusion? It is normally considered polite to call ahead, especially when one is possessed of reality-bending powers. Oh, don't be melodramatic. There's probably nothing too embarrassing in this room. John furrows his brows as he glances around the room, his eyes sweeping over the walls. He eventually settles on some pictures that have been hung up. I mean, look at these great drawings. Did you do those? That is so cool. I didn't know you drew stuff. Rose gives him the smile of a girl whose soul is just shriveled into a blackened husk. Again, an explanation would be nice. You explain that you've come to collect Jake's friends for a slumber party. I see. The commercial and critical failure of Suburb must have impacted her more strongly than I anticipated. She was really looking forward to playing that game with us. Yeah, that's putting it lightly, probably. I would hate to disappoint her further. Consider this my RSVP. Rose gives you a curt nod and then turns to frown at John, who is poking around under her bed. Something tugs at the corner of her mouth. John, my mother is busy and will not be expected to return for a while. Why don't you and our strange friend go analyze her room instead? I need time to pack. Oh, okay, Rose, whatever you say. Rose shoves you out of the room with more strength than you expected from a 13-year-old girl and shuts the door hard. Man, I hope Rose realized that I was being serious when I said her drawings were good. We tease each other a lot, but she's really cool. John's speaking loudly enough that Rose can almost certainly hear him from the other side of the door. You think he knows that, but you don't say anything, except to casually suggest that you and John go wait downstairs and admire all the ridiculous wizard art. He agrees. God, this house is so weird. Who needs a giant statue of a wizard? Where did they even get this? Oh, and speaking of weird, I didn't want to bring this up with Rose in case it was some funny story I'm not in on, but what's with all the writing on her? But John trails off as Rose descends the stairs with a neatly packed bag. Shall we? We shall, you say? With a hand on each of their shoulders, you close your eyes and concentrate on the Strider apartment. Bloody hell, fuck. You're aiming for the hallway outside the front door, but this power is still taking some getting used to, so instead you pop into existence right on top of Dave's bed. He's tapping away at something on his computer, and as soon as you appear, his entire body tenses up. You've barely had a moment to react before Dave wheels around in his chair and flings a handful of shurikens at you. One of them grazes Rose's cheek so closely a strand of pale hair flutters to the ground. She turns to look at the weapon now embedded to the wall and runs a finger along the edge of the blade, squinting. Oh, Jesus shit. What the fuck, man? Surprise! Okay, one rule of time travel or dimension hopping, don't fucking pull this kind of shit. I mean, seriously. Under any other circumstances, I'd be shitting my fucking nuts off about the opportunity to chill with my best bro. But dude, you can't just drop a guy's besties into the middle of his room out of nowhere like this. This is an extreme social fox pass. You gotta give a guy some time to prepare. Don't be melodramatic, Dave. I assure you, there is nothing present in this room that could make us think lesser of you. If Rose was scarred by that near-death experience just now, she doesn't show it. She hops off the bed and glances around. If you left any pornography out, it will only serve to confirm the hypotheses I've already made. Haha, dude, are those selfies? Are you doing the duck face on this one? Oh, man. Oh, for fuck's sake, John. You get a VIP all-access backstage pass, and the first thing you do is insult my stuff. Like some rowdy tool at the Nickelback concert rummaging through their closets instead of doing the musical world a favor and assassinating them. Well, yeah. You would do the same, dude. Touché. But anyway, aside from you getting your grubby hands all over my pristine collection of cool swords, what the hell are you all doing? We're having a slumber party, are you in? Oh, I don't know. Bro's basically always keeping tabs on me. Guy wants me to be safe, you know? Rather wants me to only be in the right kind of danger to teach me lessons about irony and being a dope-ass fucking ninja master. It's all pretty intense supervision, is the point being made here. Was already getting some rank vibes from him after that little jaunt over to the Olive Garden. Actually, the vibes have been off ever since John's B-Day, if I'm being honest. So I don't know how he'd feel about me gallivanting off on some magical snooze adventure with Slappy the time-traveling mailman. Seems like the kind of thing he'd take issue with. Oh, come on, he can't be that bad. What kind of guy wouldn't let his brother go hang out with his friends? Yeah, I guess. Be a pretty shitty kind of guy if he did that, wouldn't he? Dave stares off into the middle distance for a while. Rose observes him intently. Look, Dave, I don't think it would feel right if we all had this big party and you weren't there. Jade would really miss you. As would we. Yeah. Dave glances furtively around the room, as if he's expecting the camera to blink at him from up in one of his corners. Alright, and let me grab some sups. That supplies for sure. Sure. Hey, mailman, what's Jade's hell dog like? Do I need to bring one of the... Do I need to bring one of these cool ass swords? Cool? These swords are like $5 Chinatown swords, aren't they? What? No. Okay, listen. While Dave grabs his stuff and John heckles him affectionately, Rose's attention has been drawn back to the shuriken Dave threw at her. You stroll over and ask her what's up. She responds with her own question. Have you been introduced to Dave's brother? Not yet. You've heard a lot about him, though. For the sake of diplomacy, you only briefly touch on the opinion you formed. He certainly seems like a fascinating man, the kind of individual whose brain I would love to pick apart to find out just what twisted mechanisms fire off within its chambers. So that's what she's thinking about. Dave's bro? Hers chews on her bottom lip. Not exactly, but an adjacent topic. I'm mulling over the ethical quandaries presented by the existence of powers esoteric. What? It's nothing to concern yourself with yet. We have a party to attend, apparently. Right, Dave is done packing. You open both palms and suggest that everyone hold hands so you can best channel your powers. I'm saving just in case. Really? We're holding hands? God, this is so lame. But he does it, and when he clasps John and Rose's hand, he shifts around and blushes faintly in a manner that suggests he doesn't really think it's so lame. In fact, he may think it's the opposite lame. He may think it's rad. And he'd be right. Friendship is the raddest thing of them all. You're full of warm and fuzzy friend feelings as you teleport back to Jane's atrium. Wait, no, that's just the feeling of your body dissolving and reconstructing itself halfway across canon. They are very similar feelings. You get to the base of the staircase when you call out to Jade. Her guests have arrived, you tell her. Jade rushes down the stairs and nearly trips over her skirt. Her expression is tight and anxious, and when she sees your motley crew standing there, she freezes up. Her breath hitches in a half sob. You really did bring them. They're here. You're all here. Jade breaks into a wide grin and springs forward, launching herself like a missile at her friends. Dave throws himself bodily out of the way, and Rose takes an alarmed step back, leaving John to bear the full brunt of her affections. She crashes into him, and two of them go spinning around and around as Jade laughs breathily. Whoa, calm down there, Jade. It's nice to see you too. Tears are beating in her eyes as she squeezes him tight and then pecks his cheek with a soft kiss. Oh, John, I'm so happy to see you in person. I'm in waking person and everything. I've spent so much time watching you sleep. What? Jade swings around to look at her other two pals. Come on, you two. Get over here. Get over here. We are having a 4-time hug combo right now. Rose and Dave cautiously step forward, and Jade, with John's help, yanks them both into the tight embrace. She smooches them on the cheeks too. Rose's face lights up with a blush, and Dave nearly goes catatonic. When Jade pulls back, she's clutching John's hand and tugging so hard she might pull the damn thing off. Come on, everyone. Let's go upstairs. I found a bunch of military-grade sleeping bags and Grandpa's old adventuring gear and set them up in my room. We can play all night with toys and jam out and out to music and stay up all night chatting with each other. And oh my god, you're here, you're all here. This is really happening. Jade's next laugh verges on hysterical as she's got tears streaked down her cheeks. Dave looks a little perturbed. Wow, holy shit, it's cool, Jade. No need to get so like this. Kinda fucks me up seeing you cry. Not that I'm trying to make this all about me. I mean, Dave, you're doing a horrible job of comforting her. Jade, come here. I shall hold you in my arms. Rose walks over to Jade, extends her thumb, and swipes them down Jade's teary cheeks in a stiff, mechanical motion. Then she wraps her arms around Jade in an embrace that could generously be called a hug, but looks more like a precursor to an alien medical examination. John boggles at the display. Now you whack jobs know how to do this, oh my god. Come here, Jade. Thank you, John. Now come on, everyone, let's go. And so the party begins. Tales told, movies watched, and fun had aplenty. So many shenanigans happened. So many. Perhaps someday you will recount them all in detail. But before you know it, the energy in the room has fled alongside the sunlight. The moon and stars cast their pale gaze upon four supine friends, bundled up in sleeping bags and caught midway between slumber and wakefulness. Dave is rambling about some inane bullshit that nobody's paying attention to, and Rose is attempting, quite terribly, to lecture John and Jade on the modern reinterpretation of Lovecraft's work. Works? Fuck. You think it's about time you bowed out. It's not that you haven't enjoyed chumming it up with these kids, but you feel kind of weird sticking around overnight. You can come back later. Besides, you've got places to go and sights to see. There's an entire golden moon out there, full of potential friends that you knew nothing about before today. The universe beckons, and you are powerless to refuse. Give back a little nod, like, hey, take care of these kids. Beck doesn't nod back, because he's a dog, but you like to think he understands. As you quietly slip down the staircase and out of sight, you spare one last glance at the group and find a sigh escaping your lips. Everything that's happened here feels almost too good to be true. Can it last? Can this brazen wish fulfillment go unpunished? You find that hard to imagine. There is something fate touched about these kids. You can feel it in your bones. As surely as the wind whispers through the trees, or the stars dance through space, as surely as the turning clocks will call the sunlight back again, these kids will never be free of the bullshit that hounds them. But right here, right now, they are at peace. They have shared this one perfect moment together, and perhaps in the future there will come more betwixt with the chaos. But maybe that's enough. Victory! And now, time for the other option, with accepting destiny. Wow, you're kind of a huge jerk, aren't you? Or maybe the narrative is a huge jerk, is what you would say, but now you're practically in charge of the narrative, so yeah, it's basically just you. But Jade seems happy enough with her lot in life. Maybe she's better off this way, instead of whatever danger she would have gotten caught up in had she played Suburb. Yeah, you just keep telling yourself that. Bad end. Important heroic end. That was much shorter. And holy shit, this video is over an hour long. Well, that will be all for PesterQuest today. Probably, maybe a week. So, yeah. If you liked this content, like the video. Check out my other content like this. If you haven't seen the previous Pester Chum videos, playlist will be on the screen. Probably somewhere where it was last video. and such. And that'll be all for this time. I shall see you guys later. Have a good day. Alright?